On the surface, Far Cry 3 seems like the sort of game you've already played 100 times before. Your friends are captured on the mysterious Rook Island and you have to set off and save them, gaining skills and abilities along the way. And for the first few hours, that's pretty much what you get. But over time, your perspective starts to change. Jason Brody, the main character, starts to change. The first time he kills a man, he reacts emotionally.
Found him!
But before long, he becomes more and more detached to the killings, and by the end, he is a murdering machine who actually seems to enjoy the act.
I never thought I'd be able to kill someone. The first time it felt wrong, but now it feels like winning.
Far Cry 3 is one of the most fun games I've played in the last few years, but the story asks us to analyse what sort of impact this fun would have on a mind such as Jason's. The game becomes less about saving the day and more about deconstructing the power fantasy. And that fact becomes none more evident in how it handles the most old hat of power fantasy tropes, the damsel in distress. In your typical bog standard power fantasy, you'd spend the entire game getting stronger and stronger until the end, where you finally defeat the bad guy and get the girl, getting your satisfying happy ending. But in Far Cry 3, you save the girlfriend character, Lisa, rather quickly, and it doesn't go quite how you think it will.
What are you doing? You're shooting at them, Jason!
It isn't a romantic, emotional reunion. Jason has already changed so much from the bro that he was at the beginning that he and Lisa seem like completely different people now. The escape is soon followed by a rather anticlimactic scene that serves to show that Jason is starting to get detached from his old life.
We did it!
You think almost being killed or sold into slavery is fun?
Hey, Lisa, calm down.
This is a nightmare.
Okay, listen, I'm fixing this.
It's hard not to feel as if his heart simply isn't in rescuing his friends anymore. So what exactly does Jason want? Well, let's take a look at that. Let's look at wants versus needs. Typically found in movies with character arcs, but can also show up in games from time to time. A character usually has something that they want, and something that they need. Not always, but often enough. I recently saw Doctor Strange, so let's use that as an example. Stephen Strange wants to fix his broken hands. He wants to return to his life as a celebrated surgeon. But what he needs is to stop thinking of only himself, become less selfish, become less of a dick. In Star Wars, Han Solo wants money, but he needs love, friendship, all that good stuff. The want is the character's immediate goal, but the need is what is going to allow them to grow. It's usually what the audience wants to see for a satisfying conclusion. But in Far Cry 3, this gets flipped on its head a little. For a while, all Jason is interested in is saving his friends, which is a noble goal. He has little interest in the island, and his only want is to rescue them and escape. But as time goes by, his friends become merely an objective, a responsibility. He starts to disconnect from them. He starts to become far more interested in growing his strength and getting revenge. He's discovering an aspect of himself that he never knew was there, and he needs to find out more about it to follow this path.
What is it you desire?
To save my friends.
Are you sure?
I want to kill Voss and Hoyt.
Jason is something of a nobody. Typically in these sorts of action games, there will be a throwaway line about a military background that explains away some combative prowess, but Jason very pointedly isn't given such a line. His brother is.
That is what they teach you in the army.
Jason is a blank slate, a bit of a loser. Some rich kid in his late 20s who has yet to really start his life. The only thing waiting for him upon returning to California is a job working for his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend.
I have a studio job waiting for you. I helped Steve.
Oh, look, I don't want to talk about your exes right now.
So he puts off his adulthood by changing the subject whenever it's brought up. Going on vacations, drinking, partying, playing computer games, making videos about computer games and sticking them on YouTube, putting off the inevitable moment where he has to roll his sleeves up and get a real job. Sorry, I think I just got lost in thought. Where was I? Imagine being someone like Jason Brody, if your imagination can stretch that far. Imagine going through your whole life not being sure of who you are or what your place in the world is. Then imagine suddenly finding your place. Would you be able to leave that behind, even if it involved killing countless people? Other games like Spec Ops The Line and Mark of the Ninja have also tried to paint the supposedly heroic actions of the hero in a more harsh and cold light, but that usually results in a revelation that the main character has gone insane or imagined part of their journey. The takeaway from these stories being that they are a danger to those around them, and that they have made the world a worse place simply by being there. But in Far Cry 3, Jason has no such baggage. He's rescuing his friends, and while it's possible that he's been manipulated, it's hard to argue that he isn't making a positive difference upon Rook Island. He's for all intents and purposes the good guy, though instead of painting Jason as unabashedly heroic, Far Cry 3 takes the idea of this sort of power fantasy to its logical conclusion. If you were to suddenly find satisfaction in your life through such violent acts, it would really mess you up, wouldn't it? This sort of character arc is bizarrely rare in games. We often make enemies inhuman so as to avoid questions of morality and just enjoy the killing. But Far Cry 3 makes us consider the actions we are carrying out, and the impact they might have, whilst still managing to be one of the most fun games to come out this decade.
Holy fuck, this is awesome!
But perhaps even more bizarre is that I just talked about how great Far Cry 3 is without mentioning this guy.
I like this phone. This is a nice fucking phone.
Make it fun them. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make some sound. Boy run, and we will end your week just like a Sunday.